I'm going to tell you a secret. The secret is that someone, when you were born, messed up with your birth certificate, and your real age is actually 30 years older than you think. So for example, if you think you're 50, in reality you're 80 years old. And yet, you feel exactly the same. So what would change? Would change your life, the way you live? No, that's exactly the point. Nothing would change. So now, if this secret sounds like a fantasy to you, you will learn today that it's actually closer to reality than you think. Now I'm going to tell you another almost secret, but this time it's real. There is a new branch of medicine that is doing exactly what I just said, turning your 80s into the next 50s or 40s. It is called longevity medicine. And it's not science fiction. As we speak, academic labs and companies around the world are devoted to develop therapies, not just for the rich, but for everybody, to do exactly that. Now, why is this so important? Well, the human population is growing on this planet. But more importantly, the human aging population is growing. And the problem is not that we live longer, thanks to the progress of medicine, technology, even education. The problem is that we live longer, but afflicted by age-related diseases, chronic diseases. As a matter of fact, we spent the last few decades of our life fighting a declining health. Now, data show that many countries, Italy included, the population that is 65 years or older surpassed or is surpassing the one that is 5 years of younger. Now, 65, for the average human being, is the age when we start to develop, year after year, suddenly, an exponential risk to develop not one, but all age-related diseases every year. Diseases such as neurodegenerative, like Alzheimer's or Parkinson, or cardiovascular, diabetes, cancer, just to name a few. So this is very sad for the individual, for us, but also for the families and for the society. As a matter of fact, this is a socio-economical crisis up and coming. Who's going to pay for the healthcare cost of so many sick individuals in the future? Who's going to take care of so many elderlies afflicted by age-related diseases? Now, what if we could change the trajectory of our biological aging process to postpone in time the onset, so the development of those decay and those diseases of aging? Well, it's been calculated. For example, a paper published in 2021 on the scientific journal Nature Aging shows projection that a shift of just a couple of years, only in the United States, of delaying the onset of all the diseases of aging would result in saving in healthcare costs of more than $7 trillion. So think about this globally. So what can we do? Now, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to change the chronological aging. But there is a lot we can do to change the biological aging process. Now, we don't age all in the same way. Actually, even within us, our tissues and organs, they age at different rates. And that can be even accelerated by microdrivers. For example, if you smoke in your lung, virus during the pandemic, climate change with pollution, unfortunately affecting first the underprivileged populations. So if we don't take actions, this situation in a non-distant future will become unsustainable. So how can we really change this the trajectory of this biological aging process to age chronologically more gracefully? So sure, we can do good lifestyle, so good diet, it's important, exercise, good sleep, good level of stress. These are all good practices to keep us healthy for longer, but at some point, the biological aging process will kick in, and we will start to experience these chronic diseases and decay and aging. So we need something better to help nature to keep us healthy for longer. So giving us more healthy years to our life. So what can we do? Well, aging, the biological aging, is actually a complex phenomenon. It's a multifactorial phenomenon. And winning this game, it's really like playing chess with a very sophisticated player. Very clever, much older than us. Actually is as old as the first living cellular organism appeared on this planet. But we became much better now at playing this game with nature. And we learn lots of the rules. Let's see how. One way our tissues decay over time and age is because we accumulate over time certain bad cells, dysfunctional cells. And those cells are not just sitting there. Those cells don't die, but they don't grow. And they're very active metabolically. They secrete toxic factors that can affect the surrounding cells, inducing them to become dysfunctional like them. We call these cells zombie cells, for real, or more technically, scientifically, senescent cells. Now, these senescent zombie cells, by releasing those factors, they induce a growing chronic inflammation over time. It's a slow process, but constantly growing. Eventually, drives stem cells to stop working, tissue to stop regenerating, becoming fibrotic, cancer to spread. And so then we develop age-related diseases. Well, this is the bad news. But the good news is that we can now go zombie hunting. For real. So a branch of longevity medicine is focused to develop therapies that can selectively kill these zombie senescent cells from your body. For example, imagine a pill that if you take it can release drugs that are designed to find, track, and kill these zombie cells while protecting the good ones. We call those drugs senolytics. Now, what happens when we try these senolytics? We did it, for example, in animals, in aged animals or in sick animals. And the results are incredible. Marvel. A meraviglia. We see animals rejuvenating by many ways. For example, they regrow hair, they regrow muscle, they regain vision, they regain cognitive functions like memory. They revert chronic diseases, they live longer. And we're doing that now in humans. There are already clinical trials ongoing, and the first results are very promising, very exciting. We are testing those senolytics in people affected by diseases of aging, where we can actually test and measure the effects. Now, what if we can prevent the good cells to become zombie cells? Because where are these zombie cells coming from to begin with? Well, any cells in the body can become zombie cells. It is really the result of damage and stress accumulated over time. Damage to your DNA, for example, or to the mitochondria, which is the energy factory inside your cells, and other forms, but there is another form of damage that is very important for aging. It's called the damage to the epigenome. And what is this? Well, the epigenome is the structure where our DNA is wrapped around. And it's not just a scaffold, it's functional. It tells how to use the information in the DNA. Now, if you remember, every cell in our body has the same DNA, the same genomic information. And yet, we have many different cell types coming from the same embryonic cells, skin, brain, muscle. Why? Because the DNA is used differently. Who orchestrates that? So let me give you like this metaphor. The epigenome is like a director of an orchestra, where the DNA are the instruments. So the director can choose to play different music, different symphonies, with the same orchestra, but you get very different musics. And that's what happens. That's what makes the final outcome different cells. Now, when this music is clean and perfect, in a young cell works everything perfectly. But with age, this music becomes off-tune. There is what is called epigenetic noise that makes the cells less and less functional and eventually become a zombie cell. Now, what if we can retune the instruments, the epigenome, so the music can turn back into the younger version of themselves, so the cells can return to function as they used to? Well, that's possible. Actually, it exists in nature. It's actually encoded in our DNA, so it's in every single cell of our body. But it's locked at birth, except in a few special cells called the germline. The germline are the egg and the sperm cells. Now, those cells, when they come together to make a new life, to start and make an embryo, they activate, it's called an epigenetic reprogramming mechanism that can rejuvenate those older cells, reset the age to 0, repair everything before starting a new life. Otherwise, we would make old babies, but we don't. Now, can we do this in every cell of the body, not in the germline? Now we can. Yes, we figured it out. We developed a way to open up the epigenome and allow the cells to rejuvenate and turn back the clock. We have done it. It's been done in mice, in non-human primates too, in monkeys. And the results? Marvel again. Incredible. We see the cells turning back and restarting working as the old version of themselves. For example, monkeys that didn't see anymore regain vision because the optical nerve regenerated. Meraviglia, isn't it? Now, we're doing this in moving into humans. We're developing therapies, for example, based on the RNA vaccine-like approach, but to deliver factors that can, in any cell of the body, open up the epigenome and activate this rejuvenative epigenetic reprogramming machinery, turning back the clock and rejuvenating them, restoring health and function. So, killing zombie cells, reverting cellular age. Well, if all this sounds like magic to you, it is not. This is science. The future of medicine is exciting, it's very promising. We are in the trajectory to change the biological aging process. So, stay tuned, because in your lifetime, your 80s could become the next 50s or 40s. What will you do with more healthy years to your life? Grazie.